I know we've run a few minutes over, and obviously, you guys can head out if you're getting thirsty. But if you've got some burning questions, we've got some expertise up here that spans multiple systems. A lot of years has seen a lot of things change in production, not just integrated, but the pork production. So I'm going to give Dr. Cast and Dr. Spronk a chance to just quickly introduce themselves if some of you guys don't know them, and then we'll fire off some questions.
So my name's Wayne Cass, and I worked for a large system at Premium Standard Farms for several years, and now I work part-time for PIC and then do some nutritional consulting. And I'm the right nutritionist if you want to talk to someone. Oh.
All right, so I'm Dr. Spronk. I am the backup expert, as Rebecca would say. So graduated in 2015 from Minnesota. Actually went straight into an integrated system. So head vet or only vet. So I don't have a lot of other opportunities for mentorship now. At Eichelberger Farm. So 54,000 sows currently, and part owner in Triumph Foods.
All right, guys. Anybody got anything? All right. Well, I've got some questions. So you noticed Dr. Floor showed a slide that we get a few chuckles out of, where if you notice, the person in the picture had a little veterinary caduceus on their sleeve, and the pig was getting run over, and it was the feed. So I'd like to hear some perspectives on this panel, how we make that, because I think that's a commonly regarded idea that there's maybe some adversarial relationships between the veterinary services and nutrition teams, and maybe get some perspectives on how we coordinate to be productive in an integrated system. Oh, man, I got volunteers now.
Doesn't mean it's right, but one of the things that I would say we have found to be very helpful, I don't think nutritionists are afraid of the barn, so get out in the barn with them, walk the barn together, take a look at stuff, go through. The nice thing with an integrated system, whether it's different mills or different barns, I mean, you can hit 5 sites in a day and look at the range of pigs on different diets, and if something's jumping out, you can look at that together. Generally, I've found that to be very, very helpful. And then when we're out in the barn and we see the same thing, if I'm communicating on the phone, hey, here's what I'm seeing, he knows how I've looked at it with him, and so it works really well. And I'd just say get out in the barn together.
Anything to add from the nutritionists here? So it goes both ways, right?
So I think one reason to go to the farms is what Josh talked about, how to have there's some small changes that you can make to help them implement the program, and understand little changes you can make their life better and easier. There's feeding programs that are easier to implement than others, and understand what the limitations are. I think that's a big part. And I do think some veterinarians have horns and tails, but not all veterinarians have horns and tails. And I think you need communication and having common, as Matthew pointed out, you got the same goal. And usually when things go really well, feed gets too much credit. And when things go poorly, it usually gets too much blame. But it's communication and working together.
Question from the audience. Yes, sir.
Fabian, just graduated a few months ago from University of Minnesota. I was curious of how you get to manage economics and production from the veterinary standpoint in kind of managing diseases, either controlling better and stabilizing some farms or elimination programs, let's say PRRS, Mycoplasma, how you tackle those decisions on. Because ideally, why will all companies just go and eliminate PRRS everywhere, right? So we will be free of PRRS.
Great question. I'm going to let Rebecca answer.
I'm just moderator.
No, it is a good question. So it was a pretty in-depth question, and there were several segments to it. But one thing that stood out to me that you asked is how do you decide when to do these economics to make a decision to eliminate a disease or control a disease or what it is? Well, there's a couple of aspects to it. One is we talked about the replication of experience. So you can spread out those different experiences and understand what the cost is. And within every integrated production system, there's going to be somebody embedded within that system that is incredibly good with numbers, accounting. Sometimes it's the nutritionist, sometimes it's the controller. It could be different roles and different positions, but the key is you as a young veterinarian is to get along really well with whoever that numbers person is and let them teach you what numbers they need to see to make those decisions. Because ultimately, as a veterinarian, you don't walk in with any credentials. You don't have any street credentials at all when you walk into an integrated system. And you've got to learn to talk the lingo that works within that company. So align with somebody that is really good with the numbers, that's respected, and let them help you learn how to communicate within that business. And the answers will then be pretty easy.
To expand on that a little bit, I think you have to understand how that system values the production. So understand where they feel their most value is or where they're making their pigs. I mean, a fully integrated system, so owning packing, is going to look at a pig slightly different than one system that's selling a wean pig. So understanding does that pig have to be negative to find the value in it? Does it have to be stable? Can it be positive and leaking a little bit and I still can make money on it? So understanding how they value that pig or where they put their economics on that pig.
Dr. Turner, you alluded to antibiotic or antimicrobial use and kind of monitoring as an opportunity for veterinarians going forward in the future. And I was kind of wondering what approach you guys have taken from that perspective of responsible antibiotic use, whether from the perspective of resistance or monitoring use, so on and so forth.
That's a really good question. So the question was, I'll repeat the question. I'm going to try to summarize it, Joseph. But basically, how are we kind of owning this antibiotic use issue? How are we measuring it? How are we recording it, monitoring it, that sort of thing? And so it's incredibly important, and retailers are asking those questions today routinely. I mean, it's very, very routine to get questions about antibiotic use. And actually, I've reached out to Peter Davies. I don't know if he's in here. He might want to answer that question if he's in here. But, I think we need to develop a standardized way of measuring and reporting our antibiotic use, not necessarily publicly today, but we need to start the preparations so that we can start measuring it, have good confidence in that number, and not be scared when we're asked to provide it. So today I'm working on this project I'm working on right now, and I've been working on it for over a year of looking at the amount of antibiotics we're using, separating them out by shared class or non-shared class antibiotics, and keeping those metrics over time and looking at what my trends are. And we're going to have to address that issue. It's coming. I don't think we're going to be able to fight it off at all. Okay. Did that answer your question? Yes. Okay. Good.
I'm going to ask Josh to weigh in from the nutrition side.
Yeah, so it's a great question. I think all the groups up here we're well aware of it. Within our system, we track our usage by form, so feed usage, water usage, injectable usage or dose pulse usage in our case. And I think we've taken the stance of we will readily provide that information to customers, but we also, we don't know what the right answer is yet. I think everybody up here has different, health pressures and challenges that they deal with. So what may work for Matthews flows and operations may not work for Seaboard. So I think trying to standardize to a flat level is challenging. And I think also trying to find that proper metric to really measure usage is still an unknown. But like I said, I think everybody up here is aware and is monitoring to report that information. And we've taken the stance that, we don't necessarily, if we have a huge health outbreak that requires the use of antibiotics, we're going to use them. Our usage will go up, but we're still going to judiciously use those products. So again, I think it's that stance of we're willing to monitor and we're working with Peter to try to find the best way to measure, but there's still a lot of unknown there. Steve.
I think one thing that veterinarians a lot of times don't understand on the feed side in antimicrobial usage, and you alluded to it, Josh, is the impact it has on feed production with all the sequencing and flushing. And as we've taken more and more mills antimicrobial free, it's been astounding what it does to the productivity of these feed mills, and it's been a cost that we way underestimated. So
you're saying feed costs are going to get cheaper?
yeah,
On the old mills, right?
Well, they'll just charge you more for corn. They'll get it one way or another.
Everyone needs more corn.
Any other questions from the audience?
I was wondering, the integrated systems they claim that the brand recognition is a big deal with the consumer. I was wondering if you know how many people going to the meat counter buy on brand versus price, and do you have metrics to back that up?
That's a great question. I don't know. In our group, our sales team on the meat sales side would probably, I know they could answer your question. I don't know if one of us two could answer that for you directly, but that's a really great question. I don't know.
I won't say that I know. So I would say there's two levels of a customer there's a customer and there's a consumer. So the consumer is the person that buys it out of the meat case, but we have customers like McDonald's and Walmart. And those people come visit us and they ask a lot of questions, and they're a huge driver of our business. And I would say that's where the biggest influencer of our business is our customer. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, not the consumer. Any other comments? I do not have. I think that's an excellent question, and I'm going to go back and ask our marketing and team.
So I'm not going to tell you exact numbers or anything like that. I will tell you a couple personal experiences. Just being able to travel different places and stuff. Going through the Atlanta airport, I've had instances of restaurants within there noticing the Smithfield name and basically saying, yeah, we buy all our bacon from you guys. So there is definite name and brand recognition going all the way down. I think we've seen a pretty large uptick lately in the barbecue sector. Kansas City barbecue and all of that. I think we take a lot of pride in that brand recognition going out amongst the barbecue and stuff, and it's definitely pretty powerful. So I would say, yeah, we definitely see it, like Rebecca said, at a customer level, but I think the consumer, if that's your deal to get into the whole barbecue and you see them grilling with farmland and Smithfield, it's a big deal.
I didn't even think of that. I was thinking about whoever going to the market. And I could see what McDonald's is, uniformity is their deal, and you guys can give me uniformity. But I was thinking about the people walking into Walmart or whatever, what they're buying at, and what percentage of your production goes to consumers versus customers.
I'm not going to try to attempt that answer the final question, but from every talk I've been in on marketing and stuff that way, it's been driven towards the millennial, so the next generation, which I fall into, and brand recognition is huge among them. Ordering off of Amazon, it's. I mean, I do it myself. I read the review of what other people have. I mean, and I'll buy a product based on what someone else said or that I've seen that product before. Now, the meat counter is probably a little bit different, but I think that trend's coming. It's probably not quite there yet, but every talk I've been in on the marketing side or that next generation, how you find that niche or find that advantage has been on brand recognition.
Thank you. Although isn't that the primary business model of Amazon is to destroy a brand?
They want their own brand of that product.
Do you have any other questions? Well, we ran over. I appreciate you guys sticking around and participating in the discussion. With that, I'm going to close the session and we're going to mosey over to the Museum of Science.